to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game.
Me. Bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
What are we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.
What's up, guys? It's We Talking About Sports. We're back here with another 4 quarters. I guess it's another special edition. There's a lot of good sports going on right now. It's a Sweet 16. It's March Madness still. We're here. We gave you guys a little tournament preview. We filled out our bracket live. I think it's kind of doing good right now. When I checked last, it was like in the 93rd percentile. We'll probably recap that right now when we get to the first quarter. I'll pull it up here on the computer or on my phone, and I'll give out the stats. But we're doing okay. How are you guys doing? How are y'all's brackets doing? Your personal brackets?
Shit, I'm good. I'm up there. I'm not too far behind. Some of these teams are already out. Like some of the Baylor, Auburn, like the people that had picked them to win the whole thing, they're already done, which is crazy. Barely going into the Sweet 16.
Kentucky.
Yeah, but especially them. But my bracket's good, man. It's good to be back with the boys here. I know we haven't been potting as much now that football's over, and we were worried maybe baseball wasn't even going to come around, so we don't do them as much. But it's always fun to get back with y'all.
Yeah, back like we never left, bro. Back like we never left. Chillin', bro. Had the UFC card of the year so far this past Saturday. Had some company over, barbecued. We watched the fights. The round of 64 and 32, or 8. I believe I got it right.
Yeah, you did.
64 and 32 was crazy. You know, we had some underdogs still in. We've got some teams that paths look like they just got a lot easier than how easy they already were. Kansas. But it's been a tournament full of surprises. It's been pretty crazy. Looking forward to it. We got the Sweet 16 kicking off tonight here in a bit. Villanova and Michigan kicking off here in about 30 minutes. So looking forward to watching the games tonight.
Hell yeah.
What about you, Just?
Yeah, it feels like we haven't podcasted in a while, but, we've been on every week. It's just last week we did, instead of 4 quarters, y'all did the March Madness primer. But here we are in the throes of March, some upsets. We do got a Cinderella team in that 15 seed, St. Peter's. And I feel like everyone's cheering for that guy, Doug, and that St. Peter's team. And I hope they go pretty far. I hope they win it all even, just to see something crazy like that.
Another Sister Jean.
Yeah,
they definitely were a bracket buster. I had Kentucky going pretty far in my bracket. I know a lot of people did. So let's see how far they can push it. I know I don't know if a 15 seed has made it to the Elite Eight. I don't know if anybody has that stat, but I'd be hard pressed to find another one that's made it.
Well, they got Purdue's big ass up next, and we know how Texas got robbed against Purdue. So that was one thing.
Super big free throw discrepancy there, man.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. But let's talk about the teams that are still playing. We got the Sweet 16 up here. We're going to give our little predictions and maybe see we can call the Elite Eight and maybe the Final Four correct. This first game, it's actually tipping off tonight, is Gonzaga versus Arkansas. I think Gonzaga's maybe like a 10-point favorite. The last time that I checked, 9.5, depending on their book. What do you guys think about this game? Are you thinking Gonzaga in a blowout? Are you surprised to see the line this large?
Yeah, actually, I was a little surprised to see it that big. Usually we do see Gonzaga favored by double digits, usually 20 plus due to the conference that they play in. But here we have them against a tough Arkansas team. They were really good in the SEC. They were one of our favorite teams rolling that we followed throughout the year. Pig Suey, baby. They're tough, man, but I think we've seen Gonzaga, and they've kind of let teams hang around for a quarter or for a half, I'm sorry. And then Timmy just showing his experience. They've had some favorable matchups. Against Memphis was a little tougher, and they were down 8 points at halftime. Quick 8-0 run to tie it up. Gonzaga's tough. The line is like that, I think, for a reason. I do think that we see a Gonzaga double-digit win tonight. As big of an Arkansas fan as I am, we've seen Note. Note hasn't been able to get it going this tournament so far. If Arkansas is going to have any chance at all, he's going to have to go for 20 points. He's been held to single digits in both games, I believe. and he's Arkansas's best player. So that's not going to fly against a team like Gonzaga. I do have Gonzaga winning big tonight.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take a little bit more than just Note having a big game too. I think they're going to need a second scorer to establish themselves and contribute in order to beat Gonzaga. And I think that's another reason why the line is so large, because on top of JT Noje not being too good in the first two games, I don't think a second scorer has really established himself either for Arkansas. So they're a team that, they don't really have I guess other than blanking out on his name on how to pronounce it, but they play a positionless basketball is what I'm trying to say, and sometimes that doesn't really work out. I guess you need the traditional point guard or wings, and I don't know. It's a weird matchup against Gonzaga, so I favor Gonzaga here too.
I'm not on the side here. I kind of like the over. I think these teams are kind of set up for each other in that way. Arkansas likes to run. They're the faster, they're the quicker team. And every time Gonzaga's in a tough game, to me, I feel it goes to the over.
So who do you have advancing, Ron?
Oh, Gonzaga.
Okay, just for the bracket's sake.
Yeah, my bad. I lost y'all for like 10 seconds.
Justin, what do you think about this game?
I like Gonzaga here. I think they're gonna cover, but I don't see the overs on this game. I think Arkansas plays really good defense. I feel like that first half, like you said, they let teams hang around. I think they're gonna hang around. Gonzaga will be winning at half, but it's the second half where they pull away just enough. But I don't think they hit the overs in this game as far as a total for both teams.
Yeah, we've seen Arkansas win a game in this tournament scoring 50 points. So staying in the 50s, they were able to win. They are one of the better defensive teams. Like Roland said, put more positionless basketball to where they can guard everybody. But one thing that we have seen is Gonzaga's been able, like Purdue, to get the teams that they're playing in foul trouble big time. And Gonzaga really doesn't miss free throws. But with Timmy and with Chet Holmgren down there, it's, they're getting teams in foul trouble in the bonus, the 1-and-1 early in the second half. You know what I mean? With 11 minutes still on the clock. So It's something that favors them in the second half, down the stretch as well.
Good point,
so
sir.
we're
consensus, yeah.
We're all on Gonzaga here. All right, so Gonzaga's
it's
moving
hard
on.
not to be on the number one overall team too. So
and let's move to the other side of the bracket, talking about a little bit of a size discrepancy and a little bit of a Cinderella maybe. Michigan versus Villanova, an 11 versus 2 seed. Another game that's about to tip off. Ben said it's about to tip off in about maybe 15, 30 minutes from now. Here in the Sweet 16. We got Jay Wright versus Juwan Howard, and like I said, with the size discrepancy pictured here, for those of you guys who are going to be watching, Hunter Dickinson is going to present a size mismatch against Villanova, who we know is not really the tallest team. So do you guys have a lean here? Are you surprised to see Michigan make it this far? And do you think they have another game in them?
I think there was, Michigan might have been looking for some sort of justification because people were saying, man, they got in really easy with their record. They shouldn't have been, the seed that they got. And it feels like they're a train moving. I think they have a chance tonight against Villanova here. We did see what happened against Wisconsin earlier in the year. That kind of motivated the team when Juwan Howard got back from that suspension. I'm going to lean Michigan here tonight.
You like Michigan?
Take the upset.
Okay. Nice. And the spread is minus and plus or -5 for Villanova.
Yeah, pick them pretty much. I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, -5. My bad. I'm gonna go Nova just because Jay Wright, and there's a lot more upperclassmen on this team that have played together. The guard was there backing up Jalen Brunson when they won it 4 years ago. So I think all the experience is there. Michigan does get their starting point guard back. He was out injured the first game, and then he tried to come back the second game, and then he just couldn't. They get him back, which kind of worries me. So as far as the spread, I'd go +5.5, but I like Villanova to advance here in what should be a hell of a game.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we did speak to why Michigan was able to get in as an 11 seed. We thought they were more on the bubble, especially by not winning the Big Ten tournament and going out when they did. But they're riding a wave right now. I compare them much to Miami. I think those two teams are teams that people didn't see coming this far, but they've battled. And like Ron said, Jay Wright, I think that Villanova has a big coaching mismatch. I know, Roland, me and you this morning in the group chat were talking, and you were saying that people disrespect Juwan Howard, that he's a better coach than a lot of people think that he is. And I'm one of those people who doesn't think that he's the best X's and O's guy, but he'll get you to run through a wall. That's what I think of him as a head coach.
Absolutely.
And I think in a tournament and in a big game like this, Jay Wright and Villanova, also another team that, plays really good defensively. Like Ron said, a lot of chemistry because they've been there together, and they make free throws, man. Love Villanova for making free throws. Senior-led point guard. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep Nova. I'm going to keep riding the Nova train throughout this tournament. I'm going to go Villanova tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to ride Nova. I'm a little scared of the spread because I think Michigan, they are riding a wave right now, and they can get hot. I mean, that's how they've been beating these teams. They've been getting hot from outside and shooting the rock. And we all know in a tournament, if you get hot, that'll stick with you for a couple of games. So we'll see maybe the extended rest lays off for them. But I'm going to stick with Villanova here. I think they're too good of a pick and roll offense for Michigan. I think they're going to put Dickinson in a lot of peculiar positions on defense. They're going to make him make a lot of decisions. So I'm going to go Villanova here. It's going to be a close game, though, because I do think Michigan does have a little bit of like mojo with them right now. And in the tournament, that means a lot. So, but I'm still going to go Villanova, Jay Wright, and the experience. So let's stick with another game tonight. And let's stay on this side of the bracket. It's Arizona versus Houston. The 1 versus the 5 seed. A lot of people were surprised to see Houston in the 5 seed. A lot of analytics people like Ken Palm and other ratings, for those of you guys that follow those type of things, they had Houston as one of the top 5, top 3 teams all year. And to see them come in as a 5 seed, a lot of people were questioning that, probably a lot of disrespect towards the conference. But nonetheless, they're here versus Arizona in the 1 versus the 5, actually tipping off here in San Antonio at the AT&T Center. For those of you guys who are going to go out and make it to that game. But for me, the thing that it comes down to, and I'll give my pick first, is Houston. They're a very good offensive rebounding team. Arizona, the first 2 games in the tournament, they've really been bullied on the boards, and they do turn the ball over quite a bit. For as talented as they are in the backcourt, they are prone to the turnover. So for those reasons, I like Houston because Houston's probably – the last time I checked, like a top 5 offensive rebounding team, so they're going to have a lot of chances. And I don't think Arizona is going to force the issue and transition too much. If Houston can control the pace, they're one of the slower teams in the country. I think it'll go in their favor. So I'm going to go Houston here in what should be, I think, probably the second best game of the night. So I'm going Houston.
Yeah, shout out David Bridgewater, Houston alum. I've been talking smack to him all year about that weakness in that division rolling. I know that you mentioned Ken Palm had him as a top 5 team. I didn't think that they were. I was one of those people that was hating on Houston. They also had some key injuries throughout the season, some players out they're only going like 6 deep. If he has to, 7 deep. But Kelvin Sampson, I mean, it's a coaching mismatch here. Sean Miller's gone from Arizona. They got a new head coach. And like Houston, who has Arizona played, man? I mean, the Pac-12, they've got, Arizona and UCLA here. They lost to UCLA as well. So I think that, Arizona, I don't know if they deserve to be a number 1 seed necessarily. We saw them on the ropes against TCU, and that was a very, mediocre for most part of the season. TCU, they got hot late, got some big wins, and they got them into the tournament. But that TCU team, I mean, arguably could have been a foul on that late turnover that almost led to the game-winning basket, but time did expire.
He got mugged at half court.
Yeah, a lot of people said that he got mugged at half court. The referees tend to swallow the whistle, which is surprising because this tournament's been a total ref show. In my opinion, these guys are trying too damn hard to be the show. But back to the game. So now I'm apologizing. I'm back on Houston. They're playing hard. They're playing well at the right time. We saw what they did to Kofi Cockburn in the round of 32, bro. They shut him down, and they were throwing different defenders at him, giving him different looks. An Illinois team where they couldn't even keep Carbello on the floor. They straight up benched him down the stretch. So they pulled away big time from Illinois. I like them to come in here and beat Arizona. Arizona does have the best player in the game, but I think that Houston has their between their defense and their rebounding. Arizona gave up a ton of second chance rebounds to TCU, and TCU just had big old Eddie Lampton down low. He was getting and ones, but not necessarily dunks. It was layups. Not the most athletic guy. Houston does have big size. I think that Houston's going to beat them up tonight. Give me Houston.
Arizona's coming in as the better scoring team, better rebounding team, better assisting team. Houston's coming in with a better defense. At the end of the day, defense still wins championships. I'm going to take Houston tonight as well.
Damn, is it going to go 4-0? Is it going to go 4-0? I think so, man. Give me Houston in this matchup as well. As Ben kind of mentioned, this is what my focus was on, is that Arizona got out-rebounded like crazy. So they're going to have to get an extra big man up on the floor, which is going to kill their transition game. They're going to go a lot slower. They're not going to be able to get out into transition as much, which is a definite help, which I think to the better defensive team, which is Houston. So if they get it into, not so much of a run and gun, a kind of half-court offense game, give me Houston all day just because they grind and they get offensive boards, which is going to lead to more chances for them and less chances for Arizona. On an injury note, the point guard, Chris or something like that, is a little bit banged up for Arizona as well. So give me a full healthy Houston squad tonight. And like Roland said, they're just down the road playing up in San Antonio. There's going to be a lot of people from Houston at that game.
There should be.
All right, that's a consensus. We talking about sports is all over Houston, so hopefully they win. Let's go. They're 2-point or 1.5 point underdogs right now.
Unders too. I'm on the unders big on this game.
All right, now the last game of the night, and what I think is probably going to be the best game of the night. It's Duke versus Texas Tech. They're not tipping off from Texas. I think this game's taking place in San Francisco. This game's a pick'em right now. I think when it opened, the money came in on Texas Tech and made them a 1-point favorite. But since then, it's evened out at pick'em. I think the totals in the high 140s. I don't have the number in front of me right now. But this game, it's offense versus
137, the total.
137. Texas Tech is known for their defense. Mark Adams is one of the better defensive coaches in all of the country, pretty much. A lot of people talk about the Big 12, all of their teams modeling their defense after this guy, and pretty much just forcing everything off of the middle. But for me, I think Duke has too much offense, too much talent, and I think it's going to prevail here. I think they're going to have the talent to take advantage of what Texas Tech actually does on defense. They force a lot of one-on-ones, and they force a lot of swinging, and they force a lot of three-point shots, which Duke is not afraid to take. So I think they have the talent on offense. I don't think they're going to have any trouble scoring. And I have questions about Texas Tech. Much like Arkansas, they're a positionless basketball kind of team. Don't really have a true point guard or anybody like that. So at times their offense can go in a little bit of a drought. So that's where I'm going with this game. I'm on Duke. It's going to be a good game. And like I said, I think it should be the game of the night.
It's just a toss-up for me. I'm not going to be long. I took every bet in this game that had to do with a tie. Tie at half, overtime, double overtime. I think it's going to be that kind of game. I'm flipping a coin, and hopefully it lands on Texas Tech for me. Just, repping Texas.
Yeah, complete clash of styles. The number one defense in college basketball at Texas Tech, and Duke has been nothing but an overs team. They're going to want to score before Tech can set up their half-court defense. So complete clash of styles. I'm torn. I don't know what way to go. It's pretty much at a pick-em now. You knew the Duke backers were going to come in and get the line to a straight pick-em. They were a 1-point dog earlier. So I'm just going to go with Duke for the sake of being a Dookie and Coach K's last year. I don't think Texas Tech's going to be the team to end his run. So give me Duke.
Yeah, it's a tough game to choose. As a fan, I kind of lean Texas Tech just because they're a Texas team, but it's hard to go against Coach K on his last year, so give me Coach K and the Dukies.
Actually, I have Texas Tech in my bracket, so I'm going against my bracket.
Oh, shit.
I'm going with Duke. That's it. Just a little disclosure right there.
I think there's a little bit of a quit in these Duke players, though. I think with Monchero, I'm not completely sold on him.
I'm not sold on him either.
I see a little quit in him. So if it gets tough in the end,
He had
Don't
a
be
good last
surprised if
game.
Banchero's
Yeah,
not
he
the one to
had-
produce.
He had a good game against Michigan State. He impressed me a little bit, so we'll see. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
As a fan of an NBA team that's going to have a for sure top 5 pick and 50% top 3 pick, I do not want Banchero. But I was wrong last year also.
I was gonna say, didn't you say you didn't want Jalen Green?
No,
I think Banchero would be nice on the Rockets. He'd be nice on the Rockets, especially because you guys are going to move on from Christian Wood. But we'll get into that later. We'll talk about the Western Conference.
Just not a Banchero fan.
A little bit. All right.
Yeah.
So we're about 3-1 on Duke here, and let's get into the games that are going to tip off tomorrow. So maybe we can help out some people who might be listening to the podcast tomorrow before the games tip off. All right. Let's start with the other guys in North Carolina. It's the UNC Tar Heels versus UCLA and the 8 versus 4 seed. The North Carolina, they were part of probably one of the better games of opening weekend against Baylor, a game that went into overtime, a game that everybody thought they were dead in going into overtime after blowing that massive lead and Brady Manick not being in the game, getting kicked out for that elbow. But they ended up finding a way to beat Baylor, led by their point guard. A lot of grit on that team, a very good shooting team, a team that can get hot at times. They had one of the better offenses in the ACC, but they're very hot and cold. They seem to have hit a hot streak right now, and they're going up against UCLA, another team that, much like Michigan right now, they made their way in the tournament last year through the play-in all the way to the championship game, I think. And they find themselves here in the Sweet 16. A little bit higher expectations this year, though, battled with a lot of injury. Ben, where do you lean on these two teams? We were talking pre-podcast, and I think you had a lean already, so that's why I threw it to you, because I think you already have a thought in mind.
I'm a big Johnny Juzang guy. I believe that's how you say it, but I'm the eye test and what I'm seeing from North Carolina. Even from, the ACC tournament, they did end up losing to Virginia Tech, but they've been playing well in the latter part of the season when you want to be playing well. And with them, you're getting one shot and that's it. They're just that big to where they're getting every defensive rebound. You're not getting many offensive rebounds on them. For a UCLA team who's mostly a mid-range 2-point shooting team or 3-point shooting team, I like North Carolina, so I'm going to keep rolling with North Carolina, the underdogs.
Yeah, man, I'll keep it short. I'll keep it short. I'm just going to ride the wave after murdering Coach K and the Dukies, and then starting off, hot with that big lead. North Carolina's there. UCLA to me is overrated a little bit, so give me the Tar Heels just riding that wave. And it's tournament time. It's March, and usually the Blue Bloods, good or bad, or NBA prospects or not, they're always there at the end, man. So give me North Carolina over UCLA.
Right here, it's a very, very tough call for me because I do think UCLA has a lot of offensive talent. But like I said, when I was dressing up the game, UCLA has been battling with some injuries. I don't think they're fully healthy, and I think they took another hit with Jacquez at the end of last game. I think he got nicked up a little bit. And like Ben was saying, you don't get a lot of second chances in your offense when you're going up against North Carolina, and they grab their fair share of offensive rebounds too. So I'm betting on North Carolina to stay hot. I like the way they're playing right now. They have a good mix of young talent and senior leadership, with Brady Manick making a lot of plays for them. So I like North Carolina in this game to move on to the Elite Eight. And Justin, I think Justin signed off a little bit.
And just to play devil's advocate, that UCLA team, didn't they make the Final Four last year?
They made
the Final Four.
They're a team that brings back a lot of players, a really good head coach, experienced head coach. But for me, it's just what I've seen play out, and North Carolina seems to be in stride. They have the players, they have the bigs. Armando Bangkok down low, and then like you said, Brady Manick stretching out the floor. So I'm gonna go with North Carolina in the underdog here.
And they're riding hot after taking down Baylor. So they're at the top of the
number
world,
one seed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to the next game. This one, we got a little bit of a Cinderella going on, or I guess it is a full-on Cinderella. It's a 15 seed. We got Purdue versus St. Peter's, as we were talking a little bit in the pre-pod about Purdue and Texas and field goal disparity. That's because they go inside a lot. They have a big size advantage. Purdue likes to build their teams with a lot of size, and this year's team is no different. And they go up against St. Peter's, the 15 seed. I really don't have much to say on this game. Purdue's a 13-point favorite, and I think it's going to be a blowout. I do think Purdue is going to run St. Peter's out of the building tomorrow. They've had a good run, but I think it comes to an end tomorrow night.
Yeah, Cinderella turns into that ugly pumpkin at the end of the night, or however the fairy tale goes. Purdue, big. It's over for St. Peter's, but they gave us a shock. They shocked the world. They're going to remember that for the rest of their lives, the players and the coaches. So good for them, but it ends tomorrow night against Purdue.
Yeah. I think Roland told me St. Peter's most famous alum is Rory from the from the new Rory and Maul podcast, ex-Joe Budden podcast. He's a St. Peter's Peacock alum.
Track him.
But yeah, not to take up much more time, but I agree with you. I mean, we saw Texas couldn't handle the size of Purdue. Purdue's going to get you in foul trouble with Edey up there at 7'2". He's not even good. He's just so damn big, and he's decent at free throws, so it works out. The other dude's a beast. 44 or 50, I don't know,
50,
wider guy.
50. Yeah, he's a beast.
He's a beast. He's got the dream shake on down pat and everything. So I
got
Purdue rolling as well. Yeah, I got Purdue.
Justin, we're just breaking down the Purdue and St. Peter's game. Are you on St. Peter's here? Are you going to be the lone wolf?
Yeah, I'm going to be the lone wolf. I'm the underdog here, the Cinderella. It's always Cinderella. It's never Purdue. So that's
somebody's got to
do
it.
Yeah, Justin, that's the way
to come. That's what we watch. That's the feel good story. That's what I want. So let me go St. Peter's here, the Peacocks.
And real quick, just to get your take, between North Carolina and UCLA, who are you leaning or who you got in that game?
It's tough because I like both teams a lot, and I wanted UCLA to be the Cinderella last year. The way they were playing, but I got to go North Carolina. I like North Carolina just a little bit more than. Is it tonight or tomorrow? Tomorrow.
There we go, Justin.
All right, let's go to the other side of the bracket real quick to wrap this Sweet 16 and Elite 8 preview up. It's Kansas versus Providence. The story here, Providence, everybody wants to call them the Luck Bucks. They're the luckiest team, and if you want to look into analytics and stuff, there's ratings out there for that, and they are the luckiest team in all of college basketball. But the thing is, it hasn't ended. It hasn't gone out. I mean, they find ways to win games. And I was thinking about this the other day. Like, if you're consistently lucky, I mean, that means you're pretty good. I mean, that means you're good. Yeah, maybe you're good. That's what I was thinking about. Like, everyone has been waiting for the in-season regression to happen on these guys because they win so many close games and stuff like that. But sometimes a team just has that mojo going. They find themselves 7.5-point dogs against the Kansas Jayhawks, who Ben was talking about as having one of the easier paths to the Final Four. If you look at it, and it might continue here because they do find themselves as 7-point favorites. Justin, who do you lean here between Kansas and Providence?
I think this game's going to be a scoring fest, and it's Rock Chalk Jayhawks tomorrow.
Big? Did they cover the 7 points or 7.5?
Oh, I'm talking about the over/under. I think it's for both teams. It's going to be a scoring fest.
As a Longhorns fan, you should never say that phrase. Okay, ever. You just say you got Kansas. You don't
just
have
committed blasphemy as a Longhorns
fan. On video too.
What's next? You're gonna go stand there for the fight song, cuz? Come on now. I got Kansas as well. Like I said, I do think that Providence is one of the luckiest teams. I agree with Roland. I think that Kansas wins by margin. Providence has played well in this tournament, though. They had a decent draw. They weren't playing very tough teams. Kansas had that tough game with Creighton. Creighton put up more of a fight than I honestly thought that they were since losing their point guard. But I have Kansas in the championship game against Gonzaga, so I've got them winning here. And, I mean, I know that we still need Ron's pick, but to transition, I mean, look at what they're going to be playing the winner of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kansas got a pretty easy road to the Final Four.
Very true. Very true.
What are your thoughts, Ron?
Give me all the points right here on Providence and a possible outright win. I'm gonna go against the grain here, and I'm gonna take Providence. Roland said, "Hey, when that 7 and the 11 is coming on the first roll, you just keep rolling it, man." So I'm rolling the dice here. Give me Providence. Not just that. I mean, analytically too, they're 8-1 this season as the underdogs. The only spread that they didn't cover was when they played Villanova, and it was by 1 point. Also, the Jayhawks, like you guys said, they're strong, but are they at that elite level? Like they need to be. We saw what happened with Kentucky, who we thought was another big blue blood. Also, they're 1-7 against tournament teams this year against the spread. So I'm taking the spread for sure with Providence 7.5, and even give me them to advance and make this tournament even more crazier than it's already been.
7.5 is a decent amount of points. I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty much saying you got to win by double digits almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Kansas is going to end up winning, but give me the points here. I do think Providence is going to make this a close game. I watched a lot of Kansas's last game, and even when the center went down for Creighton, I don't even think he played the game against Kansas. Their 7'2" center, Kalkbrenner, he got hurt the game before, and Kansas really struggled a little bit more than I thought against Creighton. So give me Providence. I think they're going to come in here a little bit motivated. I like Cooley as a coach. He's a good motivator. But I don't know if they're going to quite pull the upset off here, just because I think Kansas has some advantages that Providence can overcome. Remy Martin is playing good at the right time, probably the best name in college basketball.
And off the bench.
Yeah, so we'll see. I like Kansas. Too much firepower, but it should be a good game, like Justin said. A lot of offense in that game. All right, wrapping it up, the last one, 11 versus 10. Like Ben was saying, easy path for Kansas or whoever maybe wins this game. Iowa State versus Miami. I'm going to make my pick real quick. I like Miami here. They're the better offensive team. I think they're going to have more ways to score. And Iowa State, man, they've played wounded dogs on their way over here. They played Wisconsin in the last round, who they were already down a player, I think, and then they lost a player in game. Johnny Davis was never really the same after rolling his ankle late in the season. And I forgot who do they upset in the 6 and 11 game. LSU. And LSU, they were without their head coach, who had just left the game before. So give me Miami here, who just upset Auburn in the round before. So yeah, give me Miami.
Shit, short and simple for me. All the free agency and all the fun is going down in Miami, baby. So give me Miami to win here. All the NFL stars are going over there. Miami wants to go to the Final Four, and it's going to be a party in Miami in the upcoming weeks. So give me Miami to advance.
Yeah, I like Miami in this game. For that reason, I'm going to pick Iowa State, because I've just picked against Miami since, they started their tournament run, and I've been bad at picking against them. So I'm going to pick against them again and hope that they beat Iowa State in advance.
Yeah, Miami's got some shooters, and that's no pun intended to the shootings this week in Miami Beach during spring break. They do average about 74 points a game.
You had to go there? What?
Speaking of that, Ben, what you just said about Miami, that's how I feel about Michigan and Villanova. That's kind of why I'm not betting that game too much, because I've been betting against Michigan, and I'm just not going to chase anymore on that matter. So
yeah, I've been horrible against Miami, bro.
Yeah. So, all right, moving on. That's the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. You guys probably aren't going to hear this in time for the games tonight, but hopefully, if you hear it tomorrow, maybe we can make some money tomorrow on the games on Friday. All right, let's move on to the second quarter. That was a long first quarter, but let's move on to the NBA.
We had overtime in the first quarter.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fouls in the first quarter. Extended
those refs, they're trying to make a name.
That we were talking about. So moving on to the pros here, we're going to do a little, primer for the playoffs. There's only a couple of games left, 10, 11 games left in the regular season for a lot of teams. So everything is shaping up, including, like draft positions and stuff like that. So maybe give a little bit of takes, because the Rockets and the Spurs find themselves in some positions, and maybe even the Lakers too, for all the podcast members. But anyways, let's start with the East. We got Miami still in the top seed, and we got the Bucks and the 76ers tied there at 45 and 27. And I got Giannis pictured here because I wanted to pose a question. is this still Giannis's conference? Does the conference run through the Bucks in your opinion? Do you think they're the guys to watch out for? Are you guys looking for maybe like the Nets now that the New York restriction has been lifted for Kyrie to sneak back in?
So 2 weeks ago, when we had that take and you asked about the East, and I said it was going to be the Nets that it would run through, I think they're still going to be the team that gets out of the East. And now that baseball's back, the team that has the real pull in New York is the Yankees. And they're going to have some guys that are not vaccinated. And now the city all of a sudden wants to roll back that whole vaccination status, which is going to benefit Kyrie. I think it's still the Nets that the East will go through at this point. I think they're the complete team, especially when he's on the floor.
Hey, Aaron Judge has to be able to hit those home runs, man. If Aaron Judge can't play, the Yankees ain't going to be Yankees. So the mandate got lifted. Yes, it does help Kyrie. I still think the Bucks will be in the Eastern Conference Finals for sure. So I do think it still runs through them because if you want to get to the finals, I think you're going to have to beat the Bucks. They are the one team that I think I can pencil in to the Eastern Conference Finals. I have been a big fan of the form that the Boston Celtics have been in lately. Since the All-Star break, they've been really good. It seems like Tatum and Jaylen Brown have figured it out. Derek White off the bench, Marcus Smart starting at point guard. I like their groove, but I'm going to be very intrigued at the Brooklyn Nets playing situation because Kyrie's not going to be able to enter Canada. Yes, it's been lifted in New York, but that playing game between the 8 and the 7 seed, they're 2.5 games ahead of the Brooklyn Nets. The Toronto Raptors are. So if that's the first playing game, then the Nets will have to go into Canada and play the Toronto Raptors without Kyrie. Now, if they do lose that game, we expect them, to beat the winner of the Hawks and the Hornets possibly. But I'm going to be interested in that situation. The Brooklyn Nets are going to have a hard path to the championship if they're going to get there.
Yeah, I'm not too high on the Brooklyn Nets anymore. I have a future on them. I took it preseason when they had Harden, but I'm not looking. I don't think that ticket's looking too hot for me. And the reason is I don't think they play enough defense. And I mean, Simmons, they traded for him. They traded Harden for Simmons, whatever. It doesn't look like he's going to play anytime soon. He has a herniated disc. I mean, they kind of waffled on that trade, in my opinion. I mean, I think they should have worked out the Harden situation, but we're neither here nor there. And I just don't think they play enough defense to win a championship. So for that reason, I think the East is going to run through the Sixers, run through the Bucks. And we'll see what happens from there. I think the Bucks are going to end up coming out of the East if nothing crazy happens, or unless KD goes God mode. But I don't know.
Not to sound like
right now.
Not to sound like a consensus spot here, but I think it all runs through the Bucks. Reason being, for what I've seen since the All-Star break, man, injuries hit the Bulls hard. The Sixers came out great and then kind of sputtered. It looks like there might be some in-house tension in Miami. Everybody saw the video that came out, with Spoelstra and Butler and Haslam. So there might be some tension there. And the team throughout all of this is we can talk injuries and players not getting along and trades. The steady team has been the Bucks. Their consistency is there. Their camaraderie in and outside the locker room feels like, they haven't missed a step since winning the championship. So I think all roads go through Milwaukee. Giannis is still playing like a possessed, like a man possessed. Yeah. So Milwaukee's the answer for me, man. All these guys that we thought maybe had a long shot, they're fading. Like Ben said, if they can't play against each other, I don't think in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I think whoever wins, Celtics or Milwaukee, is coming out of the East.
Do you think the champion will be coming out of the East, the whole NBA champion?
And
probably, yeah.
The Bucks just got Lopez back as well, who is, their starting center who's able to stretch the floor for them as well. A big piece for them defensively. Like, that's a guy that they won the championship with last year. I mean, we've seen him have games where people say, is that like a 7-foot Steph Curry? Because he can go crazy at times, bro.
Especially
veteran presence, so that's going to help the Bucks down the stretch as well.
You got range for sure. All right, that's the East. Let's move on to the West. which I think the Phoenix Suns, I think they've already wrapped up the West pretty much at 59-14.
That's crazy.
They're probably going to be the number 1 seed, or they are the number 1 seed. I don't think the Grizzlies can catch them at this point. But the Grizzlies are there at the 2 seed. The Warriors kind of waffling a little bit right now with some injuries. Steph Curry's out for the rest of the regular season. Draymond's, trying to motivate the team there after a couple bad losses. What are you guys' take on the West? Do you think this is the Suns' conference to lose? Are you buying into the regular season dominance that they've had for now the second season in a row? What should be a revenge tour for them?
How's Draymond going to motivate the team and then the day after tell, hey, Steve Kerr, if LeBron passes the all-time scoring record and we got a game that day, I'm missing our game to go see that. What are you trying to motivate, bro? Like, score a point. I think he had 0 points that last game against the Magic that they lost. I mean, he's horrible. But Roland, to your son's point, the Suns, they do get Chris Paul back tonight. They said he was probable to play tonight. They won a tough game yesterday against the Minnesota Timberwolves. You saw Karl Anthony Towns put Crowder on a poster, but Devin Booker went crazy in the fourth quarter, and the Suns just have the most chemistry, man. We all said that last year was their best chance to win a title. It looks like the West might be a little weaker than it was last year. It looks like they are the supreme team. I mean, if they got to go by the Memphis Grizzlies, to represent the West in the finals, they got a pretty damn good chance because the Grizzlies, although they are playing well, they're very tight-knit. They're a young team. None of those guys have really been in that moment. So I think this is 100% the Suns to lose. They're playing very, very well. DeAndre Ayton put up 30 and 17 yesterday as well against Towns. He's on a contract year. They still haven't decided what they're going to do with him. You got a lot of guys playing to prove themselves still, and then you got Booker and Chris Paul. At the end of the day, Chris Paul got his injury out of the way with. Here comes a playoff run, man. Get it done this year.
Yeah, this is Suns conference lose. The Suns conference to lose for me. Like you said, if their number 1 threat right now is the Grizzlies, I'll take the Suns right there because a lot of those guys have not been in that moment for the Grizzlies. So yeah, give me the Suns here. I'm not too worried about the Suns waffling right now, especially with Chris Paul coming back.
Yep. Not getting too far ahead of myself, but could this be several years, judging by the way the Western Conference looks now, to where we see the Suns as the dominant team in the West? It doesn't look like they're going anywhere. They still have younger guys. It might be a repeat, Suns and Bucks. Would you say it kind of leads in that direction to maybe not a dynasty, but maybe that Cavs Warriors situation, or we're not there just yet? Because the Suns are easily coming out of the West for me. That's just plain and simple. Nobody else is good enough there.
I think it just depends on the East because I think there's more contenders in the East to, foreshadow Cavs Warriors. I think as far as the West goes, being Phoenix is very balanced. Yeah, they can be the team that represents the West.
They could be the
probably
Cavs
for another year or two.
And yeah, they could be that team that are the Warriors where they're there consistently. But in the East, I agree with Justin. There's some battles to be had.
Okay. That's kind of crazy. Just, growing up, for the most part, the West was always the strongest conference growing up, as far as I can remember, and things have kind of shifted. The East is now, the stronger conference when you look at it from top to bottom. But what were you going to say?
Another big missed opportunity, man. I mean, the Clippers, the way that they sold out for those championships, like if they had a healthy Kawhi and PG this year, this would have been a prime year for them.
Both out.
Yeah, and they're both out. Possibly, maybe Paul George can come back, but they've been floating around without both guys all year, bro.
And props to Ty Lue for keeping them afloat, for sure.
Yeah, he's a good coach. We got to give Ty Lue credit.
Yeah, and speaking of the other LA team, we wouldn't be remiss. We can't talk about the West and not talk about the Lakers. LeBron's still putting up numbers. He just became the number 2 all-time scorer in NBA history.
He was out last
still
night,
breaking
though.
records. Do you guys think the Lakers have any chance of turning it up in the play or anything like that?
I like how you say it, like for the people that can't see. I like the way you say it, like with a little grin, smirk, smile on your face, like no chance.
Any chance?
The Pelicans play
they're
Portland
the team that people keep on
twice.
saying.
In these remaining games, so I think the Pelicans play Portland twice, and we have some better teams that we have to play. So I can see us swapping 9 and 10 and having to win those 2 games to get in. But I mean, I just don't see it. It's hard to see it for the Lakers.
They're fucking terrible, bro. My God. I hate watching their games, man. They're like the Cowboys, bro. They give you like they're down 30 and then they cut it to 12 and then to 6 and then it's like a 2-point game and like, oh, let's fuck it up at the end again. Let's lose
by 12.
Yeah, let's lose by 12. Let's have a 40-point third quarter and then go put up 12 points in the fourth. There's no chance, man. I think LeBron's is he still in contention for the scoring title? I saw
they're tied. Him and Embiid and Giannis are tied, so he is going for that scoring title.
Yeah, so I think he's just picking and choosing his games right now, maybe. So the law of averages will be in his favor. Like, I'll get the scoring champion and break the all-time record, but fuck the squad, right?
It'll be another thing to add oldest player to win a scoring title.
Yeah. So fuck
he wants it. My question is, how long is AD out till? Is AD coming back? Is he not coming back?
I think they said until April. He'll be back until April. So that's probably right before playoffs.
Again.
Listen, if they're not playing the Clippers for that ace spot and final spot, and I mean, they don't have a good track record against the Clippers. Mm-hmm. So it might not be the best thing, but they better at least be in that game, bro. They can't just tap out and not even win one of them.
And AD needs to play too.
Fuck yeah, without a doubt. Any chance they have.
Have a little bit of respect for yourselves, man. Come on. At least get into that playing game for the 8th seed, bro.
Don't do Frank Vogel like that, man. That guy, props to him, bro. You could tell that
he's
guy
on his way out.
Props. He should have been fired when they won the title.
I'm saying, like, having to deal with all that shit in LA right now, like the whole Westbrook situation and booing and
he's on his way out though. So I mean, props to him for the year, but he's out.
Yeah.
So Ben, I guess with the I'm just asking because I mean the Rockets are there at 18-55. You're watching these games because there's a lot of top prospects in these games coming up tonight. Yeah. So you're watching with intent. Is there anybody that you want on the Rockets? I know you said you're out on Banchero, so would you want Holmgren? Because you guys have a pretty good
Christian Wood replacement.
Yeah, Holmgren. I think that I could back Holmgren up in the post. He might block my shot when I go up, but I think I could back his big ass up.
So you want Jabari Smith then?
I want Jabari Smith, even though he's not in the tournament anymore with Auburn. I thought Auburn just had a bunch of dumb players. I mean, they took a lot of bad shots. They had guards that thought they could do it all. Give the ball to your best player. I do want Jabari Smith. Yep.
Right. What about Timmy?
Timmy's going to be an overseas legend. He will not be playing in the NBA.
Yeah, it's hard. Like when you look at Timmy's game to find where that man would fit in the NBA. I'm not sure.
If Luka Garza don't fit, Timmy don't fit, bro.
It'll be like in Australia or something like that.
Isn't it crazy? Like all these big men from college, they really. I mean, who's the last big guy that you could say tore it up in the NBA?
You have to stretch the floor, bro.
Right? Like, I mean, Aiden maybe, but Richie Hazamura, whatever. Like he was a flake. Obi Toppin, like. No, but nothing really. Like these big guys coming out of college, bro, it's tougher for them. Zion, fuck. Well, not he's a big motherfucker, but he like a 5.
Yeah, I guess like 6'8",
18.
Yeah, I'm gonna be interested with some of these matchups, though, man. I'm gonna be looking at the Timberwolves and see what they do their first year in the playoffs. I'm gonna be looking forward to that Mavericks matchup. Does Luka finally get out of the first round? I think that they're pretty much gonna be locked in playing the Jazz. Whether they have home court or they don't, I think that's a very winnable series. We got a Jazz team with, Donovan Mitchell doesn't even like Rudy Gobert. He can't wait to be a New York Knick. The Jazz, they're there to be picked off. You know what I mean? I don't think that they're a real threat this year. Last year, I was really drinking their Kool-Aid. This year, I think that they're a first round exit. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to that matchup.
Talking March and Cinderella real quick, who would y'all like to see come out of the West, like that surprise team? Mine's the Mavericks.
Yeah, I'd like to see maybe the Timberwolves make a run. That's a good one. I like their team. They got a lot of swagger. Karl Anthony Towns has been playing with a lot of I don't know even what to call it. He just has a weird look on it. I don't know, man.
He won that 3-point contest, bro. Hey, they said
he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. You can just tell he's got a point to prove this year.
He threw up 60.
They said Pat Bev is his OG. Pat Bev has him acting the type of way, bro.
Yeah, he's acting the type of way.
Got him feeling himself.
That's crazy. I like him, but yeah, I'd like to see the Timberwolves make a little run, maybe upset somebody like the Grizzlies, 2-7. I mean, that'd be an interesting matchup. Like the Grizzlies, I don't think are too solidified, but they are a very good team this year. So we'll see.
Is anybody cheering for the Suns though at all? I mean,
yeah, I like the Suns. I want to see Chris Paul win a championship.
Oh yeah,
I like Chris Paul.
Hey, Pat Bev has a Carl Anthony Towns like that dude in Cool Runnings where he makes him stand in front of the mirror and repeat that he's going to tell his dad, "No, father, no, I will not." Carl Anthony Towns wakes up. I'm the greatest shooting big man alive. I'm the greatest big shooting ever.
Yeah, I don't get that reference at all. I gotta go see that movie.
You haven't seen Cool Runnings?
I've seen it, but it's since I was a kid, so that reference
Cool Runnings
going right over the head over here.
Hey, yeah, I'll be rooting for the Grizzlies though. Just to close off the Western Conference, I will be rooting for John the Grizzlies to come out of the West, if not the Suns.
The gritty Grizzlies. Let's go.
Yeah.
The Spurs have any chance, Rolling?
I hope not. I mean, I don't want
they do though. They do in reality because
I mean, numbers.
Their last remaining games are not the worst games.
They're there. I mean, if they make it to the play-in, they make it. They're already at that point where the odds aren't really too different if they make the play-in or not, because they didn't tank well enough. Because they're not going to be able to catch teams like the Kings, the Thunder, or the Rockets to where they get a pick that really matters and a guy that could really make a difference for you. Because I do think the Spurs. Like, if they were to get like a Jabari Smith or something like that with the pieces that they have, they would be competitive. I think they have a good structure. They have a good culture and stuff like that. But I don't know. If they make the play-in, I'll root for them. Don't get me wrong.
Never know.
Well, maybe they're not really trying to get the best draft pick, and they're more concerned with picking up a free agent this summer.
Well, we'll see. That's the other option. They have a lot of capital on their side. So.
There's some teams that got to pay some players this summer that probably don't want to pay their players.
The Spurs picking up a free agent is not an option, bro. Unless it's Doug McDermott.
That's the problem the Spurs run into is that they play in San Antonio. No offense, I live in San Antonio. I like the city, but it's not really conducive in terms of convincing a young NBA superstar to come over here. So you really strike out in that regard. So you really have to find a guy that fits the mold of the Spurs, which like I said, I think they have a really good culture. But at this point, I mean, like I said, you just have to pick a road. Like, are you gonna, try and compete and like Justin said, try and go after a premium player through trade or something like that? Because I don't think you can get them in free agency. It's gonna have to be trade and see what happens with re-signing them. Or are you gonna try and do what the Rockets are doing and what the Thunder are doing? And accumulate picks and try and make the most of it at the top end with the top end players in the draft and hopefully change things. But the Spurs have good players on the team. That's why they're, where they're at right now. I said they would be at the beginning of the season around 30 wins, and they're going to surpass that more than likely. So I was a little low on them.
What was their team total that Vegas had?
Their team total in Vegas was 27.5. I had them right at 30 wins, but they're sitting at 29-44, and like Justin said, they have a lot of winnable games, but we'll see. I just don't want to see them actually make the playoffs. So they make the play-in, that'll be cool, and then they lose the play-in, whatever. I just don't want them to lose the lottery pick. Because, I mean, what do they end up, by some chance, they make a deal with the NBA, because that stuff happens. Like Cleveland, after they lost LeBron, they got the number one.
You're going to draft Murray out of Iowa, man.
I hope not, man. I'm not too high on that guy. I mean, he's good, don't get me wrong, but I'm not his number one fan. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Spurs. If they make it, I'll root for them, of course, but I just want a good player in the draft.
On to the craziness, the league that's taken over the NBA, the free agents.
The real March Madness.
24/7, 365. The league that never sleeps. It's the NFL. They're becoming a lot like the NBA with all these trades and all the player movement. And let's just run through them, or let's. I want to pick one out just to start because I think it's the biggest one here. Deshaun Watson to the Browns.
Yeah.
The move finally gets made. The Texans were sitting on him for all of last season with all of the pending allegations that was going on with the 22 cases that he had there. He finally gets traded, signs a new massive deal, becomes the highest paid player in the NFL. 2 questions. Is the suspension looming? And do you like the deal for the Browns? Do you like them going all in? And maybe a third question. Do you have them as a Super Bowl contender now?
It's a lot of questions.
You're the former Watson guy.
I think
Watson was your guy in Houston.
so. Looking at it from the Texans' perspective, I think that they traded into a very competitive division. I mean, a division that has Joe Burrow, a division that has Lamar Jackson, and that has the Steelers' defense. We've seen the Steelers make the playoffs with the corpse of Big Ben last year. So I think that it's going to be a competitive division. Super Bowl contenders, I definitely don't have them there. Yes, he has awesome running backs, but he's got Amari Cooper, and that's about it. He was trying to recruit Jarvis Landry. He came out today to go with him and play in Atlanta. Jarvis Landry is a guy who's just seeking out a trade from the Browns. Does he come back now? I think that it would benefit Watson a lot if he did. But, I mean, the Texans got a pretty good return. I think that that's a division where they could expect maybe, with maybe 1 or 2 injuries, the Browns can have a pretty bad season in that division. They can have a mediocre season in that division. And you could be picking, because I think that they gave up their first-round pick this year and next year, or 3 first-round picks, if I'm not mistaken. So they have a couple of chances, to get a pick between, 14 to 20 if the Browns have a mediocre season. So good trade for them. Deshaun Watson, I was surprised that he did pick the Browns. I'm not going to lie to you, just because, like I mentioned, that is a very tough division. I felt like he could have gone and played in Carolina and, had a pretty good shot there. So, yeah, very, very, very surprising, man. Very surprising that destination. And it pissed off Ron's favorite quarterback, Baker Mayfield.
Nah, man. I'm all about Herbie.
So what happens to Baker now? Are they just going to have him as a glorified backup, or are they going to move him for somebody?
Somebody will pick him up.
He's going to
Seattle.
move, but my thing is, I think they're going to be hard pressed to force him to play, because I do think Watson's he has to get suspended, right? I mean, he has to miss a couple of games. I'm not saying he's going to miss a whole season, but
he just got $100 million raise, Roland. I don't know.
Dude, but
he's going to miss something.
They backloaded.
If history shows, he's going to miss something.
Yeah, so they backloaded his contract to where this year, if he misses games, his I guess the money that he's going to lose is going to be at a minimum compared to what it would have been if they really had his contract spread out or normally as they would have in normal circumstances. But instead, they backloaded his contract. So I think they're expecting a suspension to come. So would you make Baker play when Watson's suspended? I mean, I think that'd be pretty crazy to do that. But I mean, what are the other options?
If they have the balls to do that, and they always say the NFL is a business, but that would be some balls on them, bro. That would be some balls on the Browns. They took him number 1. Let's not forget. This is a number 1 pick 3-4 years ago. You know what I mean? So that would be wild. I think that he'd hold out. You know him. He's a drama queen. There's no way he reports. There is absolutely no way he reports.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like on Twitter when he came out, it looked like he was ready to ask for a trade or ask for a release. He looked like he was ready to go, and it seems like that's going to be the case here.
And it doesn't look like there's too many landing spots for Baker, but let's not
Seattle.
I think they said they're going to roll the dice on Locke, from what I'm hearing, at least this year. But
they're definitely rolling.
Let's talk about some guys who've got to move. Tyreek Hill getting traded to the Dolphins. All of a sudden,
he sets the market with the trade as well. New contract.
There were updates saying that they weren't able to come to an agreement with this contract extension with the Chiefs, so they gave him permission to seek a trade. Within hours, the Jets and the Dolphins emerged as the leading candidates to trade for Tyreek Hill. I think he had come to kind of an agreement with the Jets, but something changed, and he just ended up deciding to go back with the Dolphins because I think they kind of matched exactly what the Jets were doing in terms of a contract. So he chose the Dolphins at the end of the day to go back to Florida, where he's from. Do you think this puts the Dolphins in contention in the AFC East? Do you think that maybe puts them above the Patriots in your eyes and maybe slots them in at number 2? Or are you still kind of iffy on Tua to where it doesn't really move the needle for you if you're the Dolphins? And on the flip side for the Chiefs, what are you doing here?
I think with the Dolphins, they have a Ferrari of an offense, but the man driving that Ferrari doesn't drive manual, so it's going to be a problem. I think Tua is I think they're going to have to find another guy. I don't think Tua is the guy for him. The Dolphins didn't give up much. They didn't. If you look at the trade, it's not like they got fleeced on this trade or anything like that. They're going to be the fastest offense in the NFL. They got Mostert. I mean, he can't always be healthy, but that's another fast pass catching back. They got Waddle, and then they have Watson. They have Tyreek Hill now, so that's going to be the fastest team in the NFL probably.
And they were a team rumored that they were supposed to be Deshaun Watson's landing spot, remember? But I guess, the Texans weren't sold on Tua and didn't want him in the package. Not a lot of teams, if you hear like podcasts and stuff, GMs around the league weren't really sold on Tua. I mean, think about the Dolphins. Had they just drafted Herbert instead, bro? Like, I mean, that offense would be exact what the Chargers are, but on steroids with Waddle and Tyreek Hill instead of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. You know what I mean? But it's crazy that Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill, the top 2 fantasy football receivers, the 2 guys that you're drafting in the first round, both got new signal callers and QBs. All that chemistry with Pat Mahomes, they go arguably from the MVP of the league and the number 1 quarterback in the league to Tua and Carr. I mean, do they still hold the same value in fantasy football drafts? Will they still be number 1 and 2 drafted receivers? That's where my mind went immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I think they still hold a lot of value. I still think they're the top 2 guys, in my opinion. Just there's been no fall off with injury with either guy. They're both coming off of pretty good years fantasy wise. They do take hits, I guess, in terms of their quarterbacks, but I don't think Derek Carr is a slouch to where he would take Devontae Adams would take too much of a hit. He has played with Derek Carr before. I mean, they played in college at Fresno State, so they're very close. I'm sure they're going to have chemistry from when they played before. So I like Devontae Adams on the Raiders. I'm a little bit more weary with Tyreek Hill. I might be looking to avoid him fantasy-wise because I'm not too sold on Tua, but I am intrigued with this offense. Like Justin was saying, they are one of the fastest offenses in the NFL now with Waddle and Tyreek Hill out there on the perimeter. So we'll see what Tua can do. It's put up or shut up for Tua.
Pressure's on.
I gave him the benefit of the doubt with how they treated him the past season with calling him in as like a pinch hitter or whenever things got bad, pulling the rug from him and benching him. So it's all put up or shut up. He has a clean slate with a new coach who said that he was going to work to his strengths. So we'll see what's up.
These moves by Miami were like the ultimate moves to get everybody's attention off the Brian Flores situation. That's what this was. And now that way they can say, oh, it was Brian Flores not winning us these games, even though he went on that crazy run toward the end of the year. This is saying, hey, we're winners over here. Brian Flores was the problem, even though it is a new squad. That's, to me, this is what it feels like. And don't sleep on Tua. I'm a Roll Tide guy. We always say it about AD being Mr. Glass and injuries, but Tua's been banged up most of his career. He's had a whole offseason to get better. Don't sleep on the Dolphins. I like them a lot, and I do have trust in Tua, but the NFL's crazy, so we might have another starting quarterback.
Let me ask you, do you like the Dolphins now to be like the second best team in the AFC East? Would you put them above the Patriots and the Jets with no question?
The Jets have been making moves this offseason too.
Dude, I would have loved Hill to the Jets because I really like Wilson over there. But to put them above the Jets, I think so. And I think I do have them there with the Patriots. Barely, though. Barely.
What about you, Ben? Are you worried about the Dolphins at all? Or are you still
No, I'm not worried about the Dolphins because it's still Tua. But, I mean, he does throw a really good slant. And now you have 2 wide receivers that can take that slant to the house. It's not just Waddle. Plus the tight end. I'm still not too worried about them. But for the Chiefs, what this does, I mean, we already saw they signed Juju. They went out and signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Maybe now they offer some money to Tyrann Mathieu and keep him at safety. But it did open up a lot of cap room for them because, I mean, he reset the market. $30 million a year for a wide receiver. It's a lot of money. Patrick Mahomes is paid. Kelsey's already paid. I think Frank Clark, he's still with them? And the defensive end that they paid after the Super Bowl as well. So they paid a lot of guys. It seems like the Packers and the Chiefs both lost their number one wide receiver for the same reason. It came down to money. At the end of the day, we hear it's a business all the time. And, I mean, it's crazy, guys, how people can pick. People were saying, Von Miller left the Super Bowl team and Aaron Donald as his guy to go play for the Bills. Well, these guys left Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, bro.
Well, that's what happened. Both of those guys, what do they have in common? They have max contracts. They're both getting paid.
That's what happens.
Tax.
Yeah, money talks, bro. Money talks.
You can't have it both ways.
Money handicaps, especially when you're paying the quarterback big money.
Exactly. You can't have it both ways in the NFL. That's why, again, I'm not comparing anybody to anybody, and that's why you can do whatever you want as a player. You're entitled to do whatever you want, and I'm never gonna, make fun of a guy for choosing one lane or the other. But Tom Brady took a lot of team-friendly deals along the way, and even now taking team-friendly deals. And what does that enable his teams to do? To build parts around him and to keep him competitive.
Absolutely.
So Godwin, Fournette, Evans,
yeah, that's what it comes down to.
DK and real quick, DK and Tyler Lockett, where were they rumored to go? Was it the Chiefs?
The Chiefs are looking at both of those guys. Yeah, Chiefs and Packers.
Right.
And Packers have draft picks that they can offer up for, in that Devontae Adams trade plus their own first-round pick. So
another one that I want to touch on here real quick in the AFC West, we were talking about the Chiefs and the Raiders. Khalil Mack to the Chargers. Do you guys have the Chargers now with Tyreek Hill leaving the Chiefs as maybe your favorites in the AFC West, or are you still leaning with KC?
Yeah, and you still maybe would put the Broncos ahead of them with Russell Wilson and what they have over there. So that's the Chargers are doing it the right way. They have their quarterback on their rookie deal, and they're just putting all the weapons around him, because that's usually when teams win their Super Bowls, when their quarterback's on a rookie deal and you just have the pieces. So Herbert, it's as much as it's make or break for Tua, it's make or break for Herbert as well, man. He hasn't seen the playoffs yet. They choked pretty bad last year, not making one of those 2 wild card spots. So I think for Herbert, it's a big year for him. He's got to make the playoffs. And he's in a division where arguably there's 2 teams better than you in that division. So, yeah, tough situation.
Ron and Justin, you guys are both pretty high on Herbert, if my memory serves me correctly, from our breakdowns and stuff previously. Do you guys like the Chargers now to come out of the West? When we come and do our breakdowns in a couple of months for the division, are you guys going to be all over the Chargers, or you still hanging with the Chiefs?
Until the Chargers finally prove me otherwise, I still have to go with the Chiefs here, man. It's just like the Cowboys, bro, because we're Cowboys fans. We compare a lot of teams to them, and they have that same thing. The potential's there. They're in every single game. I think 2 years ago they had a stat like 7 games they lost or won by 3 points. So until they get over that hump, then I'll be a little bit heavier on them. But this is still Patty's team, man. Patty's division.
Are you moved by these trades, Justin?
It's still the Chiefs division, in my opinion, and I think that the Broncos and the Chargers may be fighting for that last playoff spot with that AFC West, really gearing up with these new additions, all the way down to the Raiders, even, with the Devontae Adams addition as well.
The AFC is getting really stacked, man. There's some good teams, aside from that Colts division.
The South division?
Well, I mean, and it's even the Colts and the Titans. You got 2 pretty, decent teams with probably arguably the 2 best running backs in the AFC, in Jonathan Taylor and Derrick Henry. But you've got the quarterbacks in Lamar, Watson, and Burrow in the other division. And then you come over here, you've got Herbert, Mahomes, Russell Wilson, and Carr. Carr did what they could last year with the Raiders. And now they add Devontae Adams to Waller, to the little slot receiver, Renfro. I mean, the 49ers are going to be pretty good. I mean, not the 49ers, the Raiders. And then they even got Chandler Jones on the defensive end. So the 49, I mean, the Raiders are making moves, bro.
AFC West is making moves.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough division.
All right. Is there any other trades that you guys want to touch on? I know I probably missed some, but I think these were probably the biggest ones. I didn't mention the Russell Wilson one because we talked about it in one of our last podcasts. But anything else you guys want to hit on here?
No, those first 3 names on this list is, heavy hitters. So it's crazy to see.
Some signings for the Bills, not necessarily trades, but they do get Von Miller. I don't know if we talked about that the last time we were on, and they did sign a Jamison Crowder at wide receiver, take over that Emmanuel Sanders role. Gabe Davis will be there as well. And they also they didn't get a.
Did they release Cole Beasley?
Yes, they did release Cole Beasley, but McKissick, they didn't end up signing McKissick, J.D. McKissick from Washington. It seemed like he was going to be a Buffalo Bill. He wasn't. They ended up getting Duke Johnson as that third down back type of guy. So, looking forward to. Oh, and OJ Howard, free agent signing. I know.
Just OJ Howard. He's a good tight end if he can get healthy.
Bama guy.
OJ Howard and Knox down the middle at tight end. I mean, that offense is going to be pretty loaded next year, man.
The Colts traded next year. The Colts traded Carson Wentz to get Carson Wentz. Pretty much.
Ryan, a little bit
get older Carson Wentz.
And the Cowboys signed T.Y. Hilton today, I believe.
No way.
I believe that happened.
I didn't see that.
Why?
What I was going to say about the Cowboys was kind of sad when you think about Tyreek. And I'm not comparing the two, but, Tyreek Hill gets $30 million a year. And the Cowboys didn't want to pay Amari Cooper about 19 to 20. So kind of put that into perspective there. It just sucks because Amari Cooper should probably still be a Cowboy, but neither here nor there. Let's move on to the fourth quarter.
I'm good with him gone.
Let's throw up the fours.
Yeah, I'm good with him gone.
A lot of stuff has happened in the MMA world. We talked about it the last time that we were here. The Masvidal and Covington, I guess, drama or whatever came to an end in the octagon, or at least we thought it came to an end. Yesterday, Justin, do you want to tell us what happened?
Well, it's a weeknight, school night in Miami, South Beach, and Colby Covington's with Ron's favorite group, the Nelk Boys. They're doing an all-nighter. They're having their, podcast, and they're out to eat steaks at Pappy's Steakhouse. When George Masvidal runs up with a surgical mask and a hoodie and sucker punches Colby Covington. He did end up chipping his tooth and hitting him in the left eye, I believe. And now Colby's coming back and he's got charges. He's pressing charges against Masvidal. Masvidal was arrested. He was released on bond last night about 3 a.m. for I think $15,000. He met his bond real quick. But yeah, man, Masvidal's taking L's in the ring and outside.
I don't think that this is an L for Masvidal.
So you call this an L for Masvidal?
Yeah, if you're the BMF, you don't sucker punch. You come at him.
Yes, you do, because you're a BMF.
And then you roll 5 deep on one guy by himself. No, man, this
Colby wasn't by himself.
Look.
Well, Colby was with the Nelk Boys. There's like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, the Nelk Boys, real fighters, real gangster guys.
Hey, what the fuck?
No, this ain't it. This not a good look.
You were talking about the Nelk Boys prior to this.
Hey, Colby was in Miami. Colby was in George's backyard, bro. Come on.
Well, I don't think that's George's backyard anymore. I think when he won that fight, I think Colby became the king of Miami. He's the best fighter in Miami right now, and it's his title.
What about when Colby says that it's a free pay-per-view whenever they see each other? What about that?
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. That's a mutual combat. When you run up from behind somebody and sucker punch them, you're not the BMF, bro. That's not BMF status. I mean, it's not a good look for Masvidal. You just signed your contract as well. Why are you going to risk something like that? Like
that's according to that article. But
no, that's according to the video evidence that was produced last night. That's all over the news now.
Well, I gotta see it. I gotta see it.
You can see it. It's there.
On site is on site.
On site is on site.
And I agree, but isn't on site like?
What does this help? Also, what does this help, guys? I mean, come on. We talked about it in the last time how Masvidal's on his way out. He's a gatekeeper now. What's Conor doing? What was Bones Jones doing when they weren't fighting? Staying in the press, staying relevant to get those pay-per-view buys. And it took him going to jail, but hey, it is what it is.
And now he's risking his
Jesus.
freedom, which is a terrible thing to do.
You know he
He already
no
has
jail
a
time,
little
dog.
background.
A light 15K, Justin.
No, but remember, guys, he still has to go in front of a court, and the man snitched on himself. I mean, he put up a video saying, that's what he did.
Because it's not that serious,
terrible. It is serious when you have criminal background history, bro.
It's not like
when you're already a felon once, it's not like it's going to be just some normal charge.
When you have lawyers like that guy has lawyers, you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. But
Bro,
how do you
they're
prove
MMA
stupid
fighters,
when you have a video saying I did it? I mean, I don't know, guys. It's not smart.
Khabib, as soft as he is, said Kobe going to the cops was like ultimate, like
pussy.
I didn't want to say it, but Ron did. But
but the thing is, I would too, though. Like, if I had damage to my property, I'd probably go to the cops and try to recoup my damage.
You're acting real oppy, dog.
Yeah,
I guess I am. I guess I'm with 12.
It's oppy right now.
I'm with 12.
We can tell you had your police scanner in Miami Beach on that night, Justin. All right.
Nah, it's just I'm just not down with the antics of Masvidal. I mean, the guy's lost the last 13 rounds in the cage. You had 25 minutes to do everything you wanted to him, and you did nothing.
You said it's not his backyard anymore. They were in the backyard, and he made sure it's still his backyard.
They were at a steakhouse, bro.
In the backyard.
Running up on him.
I just want to, like, if y'all ever have beef with somebody, I hope y'all pull up like Masvidal, since you're saying it's justifiable.
Well, that's what I was gonna, Ben. So you like
if you're talking about my kids and my family,
he didn't talk about his kids. He said Masvidal was a deadbeat father, which now is true. It seems to be true because instead of being at home with his kids on a weeknight, the dude's out at Pappy Steakhouse trying to hit a
should have been double checking their homework, Justin. Yeah,
come on.
Justin.
I don't think it's a W for anybody because, like, obviously Masvidal is in jail. But the only thing I'm gonna say is Colby. I mean, he was still talking a lot of trash even after the fight, rightfully so.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he did win.
He was baiting him.
44. Don't get me wrong, but
the bait got hooked, cuz
he was still saying, it's on site whenever. So Masvidal just, he made good on that. I'm not condoning anything. I don't think it works out for either guy. It looks bad for Masvidal because, like Justin said, he has lost the last 13 rounds, including 5 to.
Hey, but that's inside the octagon, Roland. This is outside.
As of yesterday, Masvidal was trying to get his promoter's license for Vegas, for Nevada, and they had to table the discussion because of this ongoing investigation. So it's also hurting his pocketbook. It's just not good, man. You're 40 years old. What are you doing in the streets?
He'll just get a camarada open the promotion.
I'm sure Justin's mailing a letter to Nevada Athletic Commission.
That's where you're wrong, Ben.
Because he should have been at
already.
Home with his kids,
I'm not mailing one. It's done.
Hey, Justin's electronical. He's using an email, not an actual letter.
I'm sure 3 emails or 4 emails too.
Just want to make sure
you're not
hitting up the senators. Ted Cruz, I hit him up.
You're not down with the boycott that Khabib was calling on Covington, right?
Nah, that's why. Khabib, you stayed in the bus. What are you talking about? Come on, man.
Hey, Colby would have stayed in the bus. This is
not a good situation for Masvidal or even Covington. I mean.
Come on, bro.
Oh my God.
Well, speaking about guys in the octagon, Ben, you talked about this London card being one of the better ones.
So good.
Memory. What do you think about? I want to ask this. I mean, it's a popular topic right now about Paddy the Baddy. Do you like him as a true prospect? I asked her in one of our group chats if you thought that he might reach the heights of another English UFC fighter like Darren Till fighting for the belt. Do you think he has that kind of trajectory in him, or what do you think about this guy?
I think he has a Sean O'Malley trajectory where they're going to work him a little slower, but I do think that his peak is going to be higher than O'Malley's. I think that he's going to be in bigger fights than O'Malley is, more meaningful fights than O'Malley is. I think that O'Malley might fight for the title just off his name, but I don't really think that O'Malley is going to ever win a title or deserve to fight for a title. You know what I mean? We've seen him fight one top 10 guy in his career so far, and he's been in the UFC maybe 3-4 years. So I think that for Pimlet, he already comes in with a big following. He was still getting the 15-15 to show up and win. Did get a 50K bonus
12
or 12-12. I think it's 15-15 to
12.
show. I think.
Yeah. But he got the bonus for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but he did all that. That is how excited Dana White was with the card, that he gave all 9 finishes, all 9 fighters that finished the fight. He gave them the $50,000 bonus. And there was some nasty finishes. But for him, I mean, it looked like he could main event already in the UFC as long as they just do it, over there in the UK. It looked like Paddy Pimblett was main event material, with the reception that he got. Obviously, Tom Aspinall did just as well and finished Volkov. But, I mean, there's a bright future for him. Dana said that they're going back to the UK for sure at the end of the year. And I was listening to some of their interviews on the MMA Hour, and Aspinall already said he's pretty much just going to hold out to fight, in that card in the UK because the energy is just different. So I expect the next time we see Paddy Pimblett as well will probably be, in the UK that second time that they go around.
And Aspinall, speaking of him, he had an interesting call out, I thought.
Good
he called out Tuivasa. Do you think that's a potential fight in the cards, or is that him shooting too high, or do you think?
No, I think that's a hell of a call out because he's going to at least be ranked number 5. So you got to think it's Gane, it's Tuivasa, it's Derek Lewis, or it's Curtis Blades. And Curtis Blades already has a fight. He's fighting this weekend. I mean, Tuivasa won a big fight. We don't expect Tuivasa to fight for the title next. We expect it to be Stipe against John Jones. So, yeah, let's go Aspinall against Tuivasa in the UK. Tuivasa has enough fans everywhere. The Shui, that shit is international. You know what I mean? He has a big fan base. And for heavyweights, it's not that hard, bro. You saw how fast Derek Lewis got a fan base. You just got to be entertaining, put people out, and you're going to get fans behind you. So I love the call-out. Love the call-out.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting one, too.
Ron, you catch the fights or no?
No, I didn't, bro. I was at the stock show.
I like Paddy Pimblett. I like Paddy Pimblett a lot. I hope they give him a little bit, like you said, the O'Malley treatment, build him up correctly, and don't throw him into the flames too much, too quickly, and try and give him a title fight or anything like that too soon. But the reason why, and I think the reason why you like him a little bit more is because he has a wrestling base to his game. It's a little bit more sustainable of a path to victory, or at least having a career in the UFC. So interested to see him. And I like Aspinall. He impressed me a lot against Volkov. He overcame that size difference. So, yeah, a lot of talent over there. Dana said that the only thing that was missing was the Usman and Leon fight. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, that would have been dope. He said Usman's hand wasn't ready yet, so they couldn't do it, but that would have been dope just to cap that off. But that's all I got, man.
Yeah, let's wrap it up here. It was a long 4 quarters. We're clocking in a little over an hour here. But we got through the UFC. We got through some NCAA. Hopefully our predictions are correct. We got Villanova and Michigan already going through the game right now. I don't have it up, but I'm about to turn it on after this.
Nova's up by 3, and Gonzaga's down 3 at half versus Arkansas.
Nice. Okay, well.
Good opportunity right there.
All right, well, if that's it for everybody here, this week talking about sports. That was another 4 quarters, and we'll be back soon.
Supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game.
Me. Bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
What are we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.